Welcome to the Pump Fake Pod Conference Preview, SoCon episode, Southland episode. We're talking South. We're in the South. We're below certain latitudes. I don't know. I'm not good like that. How we feeling, Trevor? Elliot? Good Horizon and Summit League episode last night. How we feeling?
I feel terrific. I'm just ready for these to be done and actual basketball to be on.
I agree. I can attest to that. But yeah, it's been a good day, long day of work, but ready to kind of relax and talk some basketball and in my day on a happy note.
End your day on a happy note. Yes, happy note it is. Talking Incarnate Word, talking SoCon. SoCon's a really one of my favorite low major conferences, I would say. I enjoy these games. I enjoy their conference tournament every year. It's always a fun escapade. And it's really always an open door, kind of like the Horizon as well, as we've seen in the past. But always your stout teams. What do you guys have to think? And do you guys like watching any of these conferences?
I would love them all. I don't discriminate.
No, I enjoy the SoCon for sure. I think the Southland, obviously McNeese has kind of put the Southland on the map and really strengthened up that conference. But you see what Houston Christian's doing, the step up that Incarnate Word had last year. Lamar as well. So they've got some solid programs there in the Southland. But yeah, the SoCon, I think 12th strongest conference is what it was ranked last year. So it's a very strong conference. I know one thing about it, they're gonna be adding an OVC team. Tennessee Tech's gonna join in July 26 next year. So that's kind of some news for the SoCon. But yeah, man, I love all conferences, but the SoCon, I love the style of basketball, love the style of play, love the small gyms. So I enjoy the SoCon for sure.
No news developments. Normally we give like a quick news update. We're running back to backs now. It's that time of the year. Fall's kicking into gear. It's just about that time. So no crazy news updates. Unless anyone's got any final thoughts, I feel like we should just dive right on in.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I saw today, Santa Clara, they signed Thierry Darlin, which is kind of an interesting kind of a deal because he has played in the G League for 2 years. So he played in the G League for 2 years and now is signed with Santa Clara. And he was a very, very successful player at the G League level. Thought he might get drafted when he was eligible this year. So that'll be an interesting kind of unfold. I think maybe one of the first players that has kind of gone from the G League and then back into college and played. So, Trevor, I can't hear you.
Trevor, we can't hear you. I'll try removing you and adding you back. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think also too, like everything's like these conferences are super competitive, and there's never like, especially in the Southland. I mean, I know McNeese had their NIL portion and run, but the Southland they really is a wide open conference as well too, and that's what I love this variance with these low major conferences is that there's never really always a front runner for the most part. And these are two conferences that bring that every year, and it's always who's building the best time, and timing is everything, as we all know in life. Trevor, you back with us? Yes, sir. Can hear you loud and clear.
There we go. I don't know what the deal was, but we're back.
Oh baby, yeah, we're back. Heck yeah, let's go. All right, well that's good news. We're all here. Trevor, any final thoughts here? I know you don't discriminate on conferences, but any final thoughts on these two conferences as a whole universally before we go in? And cheers, just bought a new pint, Indianapolis Motor Speedway pint. Love it. Trevor, look at
that. That's sexy. That's sexy. No, I mean, I like them both. I don't discriminate at all, but I think the SoCon's going to be interesting this year. You know, new coaches, a lot of couple of teams completely rebuilt rosters. VMI's got a lot of guys back. I think it could be quite an interesting year in the SoCon. And what I read last year, they were like the 5th quote toughest schedule, just based on like close games or close game schedules or whatever. A lot of games coming down to 1 or 2 possessions. So, rebuilt rosters and some guys and some teams that are kind of reloaded. Should be an interesting year in the SoCon.
I love that, and that's a great call out. I think definitely going to be a theme that, as you mentioned, that we're going to be talking about. But yeah, and we do have a show tomorrow as well. We're doing Mac and MEAC, and then also on Thursday we'll be doing the rerun, or not rerun, but the reprogramming of Sunbelt and SWAC. So the little reschedule there, that will be nice. Yeah, 1 second while I pull up these slides. They're already pulled up, but it's just trying to get these squared away. Sorry about that, everyone. And let's get into it. Chattanooga, NIT champions, huh? That's fun to say. Dan Earl, 68-38, 3 years. Only one returning starter last season, 29-9. NIT champions, hence the extra. And what a game! What games the NIT brought last year, by the way. Looking back on that, and 15-3 in the SoCon, finishing first in the regular season. Chattanooga, a low key fun spot. I like Chattanooga; it's a cool place. But Dan Earl, I think he's still pumped up. He's still feeling good about his team, and I like what Dan Earl brings. I mean, 3 years, 68-38. It's a solid record, and even on a couple down years as well. So a lot of pieces that are whatnot. And I think they're one of the top, or a lot of pieces that weren't starters, but coming back and then flirting around of course, with other signees. But I think they have a lot of depth here. Chattanooga, I think, is a scary team. And look out for the Mocs yet again on their train run here in the SoCon.
Let me pull up my my notes here. Dan Earl coming back is huge. Not getting a gig anywhere else, but they kept 2 big men. They brought in 2 or 3 more to have actual like depth up and down this roster, like you said. They brought in 2 elite scoring guards, one from Bellarmine and Pittsburgh State. I forget the name of the player. They brought in a guy from Bellarmine last year that was a stud. So they just went right back to the well and grabbed another one from Bellarmine, and then the D2 guy. Obviously, the SoCon being, 12th toughest last year. I think he's going to have a bit of an adjustment period, but I think he'll be fine at the end. The wings, they have size. They got size down low. They brought in 2 guards that should be solid. So I think Chattanooga's kind of just reloaded and replaced the pieces they needed to. If they all can mesh and figure it out, similar, just that's how I say it every time, but that's how I feel with a lot of these transfer portal and whatnot teams, is you got to figure it out. Some teams have the overseas game, so they get time. Other teams just have practice. So once you get into a game situation, how's it going to look coming down the stretch if you have to close out a game or whatnot? But I think Chattanooga is going to be pretty damn good in the SoCon this year. So I like what Earl's got in this roster. Let's see how they perform this year.
Yeah, I mean, as you guys said, lost a couple big time scoring guards. Honor Huff transferring to West Virginia, led the nation last year and with 131 3-pointers made. So that's going to be a significant loss that they're going to have to fill. But like you had brought up, Trevor, brought in Billy Smith from Bellarmine, and then Jordan Friesen, the D2 transfer from Pitt State. Shout out Pitt State, Kansas, Gorillas. But yeah, I think, a big thing with them is they've got a very deep backcourt, or very, very deep front court. And a lot of those guys, they had to play significant minutes there in the NIT because if a lot of people may forget that Frank Champion was out at the very end of the year. And that's, I think, part of the reason why they lost in the SoCon tournament was because their big center that they had relied upon was out, and they kind of had to tweak some things and adjust some things. So I expect some big seasons for Colin Mulholland and Sean Cusano, two guys that really stepped it up in the postseason, particularly in the NIT. I know that Colin Mulholland had 21 points against Middle Tennessee State, and then Sean Cusano had 15 points there in the win against Loyola Chicago. So I expect them to kind of use that experience that they had in the postseason. And, we kind of see that, if somebody barely misses out on that NCAA tournament, they can kind of trampoline the next season with a good showing and a good outing in the NIT. And so I think that's going to be something that Chattanooga kind of looks forward to and kind of uses to kind of trampoline themselves into this new season, despite missing a few of their guard pieces. Another guy I like to bring up is kind of a cool path to Chattanooga is guard Brennan Watkins. He transferred from North Dakota State, but Coach Earl, he coached him at VMI when he was there before he came over to Chattanooga. So a tie there. So look out for him. He fits the system well. They know him pretty well. Another guy to kind of watch out for with Chattanooga.
Yeah, and then you also bring in some freshmen as well. That's always good and recruiting. So they're able to go into the portal. They're also able to bring in new recruits. I think that's always a good sign for any low major team. And I don't even know if this is low major. I'd consider this conference mid major. So you have a chance to miss out on it. You bring in a kid from South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia. That's always a good thing. So a couple walk-ons as well. I think this team's going to be a little bit untouchable, and I have to agree. I think we're all pretty high on the mocks here, guys.
Big time.
All right, East Tennessee State, Johnson City, Tennessee. The Buccaneers 19-13. SoCon last season 12-6, tied for third. Only one returning starter this year, which is a good thing. Maybe not the best thing. Excuse me. But Brooks Savage been able to be a winner, only 2 years here. So this does feel like a stepping stone conference for coaches, which is always, a good thing. And I think we're going to see that as a theme a lot. And we mentioned that just a second ago with Dan Earl, but also if East Tennessee State can rally behind only having one returning starter. But the way that Savage coaches defense, I like this East Tennessee State team. They play good defense. They lacked a little bit of shooting last year, but discipline on the floor, which is good. And then you also bring in a transfer in Jalen Smith from North Florida, who averaged 11 points. That's always a good sign. And I think that's he's gonna be able to run the point for East Tennessee State and add that missing bucket or missing piece they were on offense to score some buckets. So. Yeah, I like this East Tennessee State team. They're always a storied program, to say the least. But are they, they're always good to flirt above 500 for the most part, outside of a couple down years. So, and I think their defense can get them there. Let's see if their offense can reciprocate. Elliot?
Yeah, like you'd mentioned, I think one of their big things that they lacked last year was just kind of offensive prowess, especially from the 3-point line. I know, I think Coach Savage, he did a good job this year of not just necessarily recruiting talent, but kind of recruiting pieces that kind of fit into his system and what they kind of wanted there at East Tennessee State. So, they only returned 3 returning players. The highest of those guys averaged only 6 points a game last year. So they're looking to rebuild and get some guys that can really score the basketball. You'd mentioned Jalen Smith. He was a high volume 3-point shooter. He wasn't a high volume 3-point shooter, but he led the ASUN in assists. And then they brought in Milton Matthews from FAMU, who had a really good season, by the way. Florida A&M, shout out to them. We'll talk about them on Thursday. But he led the SWAC in 3-point percentage and shot at a high clip. He attempted 271 threes, was 100 out of 271 on that. So something to look out for. I think he got the right pieces in that they needed. And then they brought in a couple other guys. Cam Morris, he's another guy from UMass Lowell, proud program, brings him in. I'm curious to see how he fits and how he translates with them. But I think that Coach Savage did a good job in the portal, and I'm interested to see how that pans out for them.
Yeah. I'm just going to go right now. Brooks Savage, he's going to be my all names coach if I get first pick at the coaches here towards the end of the season. Just what a name. But 3 returning starters, 12.5 points a game, almost 8 boards, 5 assists. So not great, not bad compared to some of these other schools in this conference we'll talk about later. But they brought in 5 guys that are 6'7" or taller. Like, they brought in some serious depth or serious size. And then, like Elliot was saying, all 3 of those guards, I mean, they led their respected conferences in one stat or another. And Jalen Smith, 29th in the country in assist rate too. So the dude really knows how to distribute and find the open guy to get a bucket. And then Savage, he did talk about how when they brought in guys, like, obviously you want great players, but you want to put the team first. And these guys are what he chose, what he went for. So you got to imagine that these guys are all buying into the team aspect instead of just trying to go for personal stats and try to just get up out of there. So I like what East Tennessee State's got. I think if they can mesh and all these guys are actually looking to play for the team instead of themselves, I think this is going to be an actual contender in the SoCon potentially. So I like East Tennessee State. I'm high on them. So I like what they got on the floor this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you got you can't be mad at a high school recruit, Maddox Huff. I mean, I'll be rooting for Maddox Huff on East Tennessee State always. So you can't be mad there. And then you got Jordan McCollum as well. He only played a few games at Murray State last season, but hey, that's an in-state kid going into another state or going to within the state. That's always a good sign, and maybe a little juice that they need to step up for this. So appreciate everyone in the chat, guys. Ken, my man, always good to see you. Been here since day one. Judd, thanks for tuning in. And we will talk basketball P5. If you go to our Twitter at PumpFakePod, we have a content calendar. And that will explain all of our October shows when we get more into the P5 schools. Jeff Sharp, always good to see you as well, man. Let's go. Yes, we've researched well. And if you've missed any of our live shows, feel free to tune in to our recorded episodes. Every conference is getting recorded. And these guys have been great. And it's been a fun time already. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Yeah, I mean, I think this defense is going to keep going. Trevor, you mentioned the size. I think that's going to be a good call out. Let's see if East Tennessee State, I mean, a proven program in this SoCon, always, like we mentioned, above 500. And if that can squeak them a couple wins to propel them into the top 3 potentially again.
Yeah, then also
ahead,
another guy to mention, Brian Taylor. He's a guard from Southern Illinois, Edwardsville. SIUE. And he was second team OVC last year, came in, transferred over. So I think he's going to be another one of those scoring guards that can kind of contribute to them via the offensive side of things. We like you guys have said, they've gotten the defensive side of things taken care of. They just need to figure out the offensive end. So another piece that could be potentially good for them on the offensive side of the ball.
And I think let's get a little creative here before we dive into the next team. I know we got a lot to run through, but what side of the ball is better in these conferences, or does it matter about the conference? And don't cop out with that answer. Let's give your answer for the SoCon, and then let's give your answer for just in general, I guess. Or it may be a fluid answer, but what do you think is more important on which side of the ball here in this conference?
That's tough because, I mean, like we'd mentioned earlier, I think this conference was 5th in like points per game differential or whatever entirely. Like they're all close games, so obviously you want an offense that can get you a bucket and crunch time there. But I think defense more or less, just if you're able to close out a game on the defensive floor, grab rebounds and kind of ice it away. I think that's a little bit more in this SoCon, but you have teams that like to play pace. So I honestly don't think there's really a wrong answer in this conference, to be honest. But I'm
Gotta
just going
give
to say
one.
personally defense. I'm saying defense personally.
Elliot?
I'm offense for the SoCon. I think offense is relying upon it. I think you saw that with Buckyball there at Samford. I think saw a stat when I was kind of doing some research on the SoCon that they 45% of the points come from the three ball. So if you can't shoot the three very well, you're probably going to struggle in this conference. Teams that are kind of running up and down, high possession rates, shooting the ball. So if you can't put the ball in the basket, you're going to struggle. And that's apparent for a couple of these teams that we're about to talk about coming up, specifically Mercer last year, terrible 3-point percentage team and terrible from the free throw line. So it didn't bode well for them in conference play, especially in those close games, like Trevor said, when you can't convert from the free throw line. But if you can't shoot at a high clip here in the SoCon, I think you'll just get run out of the gym. So offense for me, for the SoCon particularly.
Here, and I will take defense. I think just because East Tennessee State's kind of proven winner, they've always been a historical defense program. I think that is my thought here, that it can propel you, and if you can defend the three. But yeah, probably no wrong answer there, and I think it's maybe an open-ended question. But all right, Furman Paladins, Greenville, 25-10, SoCon 11-7, 3 returning starters, Bob Ritchie, 181 and 81, 8 years. Always a storied program in Furman as well. The magic we know with Kevin Harlan, but bringing back 3 starters is huge for success, especially in these kind of conferences. So you got Edwin Bronson coming back, Tom House, Ben Vanderwall. So, guys that can score, maybe not consistently every game, or guys that can just be all role players that mesh well together. And that's what Furman does best on the motion offense. And I love watching their offense kind of flow to work. So, yeah, Trevor, what say you about the Paladins?
I like Furman. I'm high on Furman. I know they did lose their top 2 scorers, 33 points a game, 6.5 boards, 4 plus assists a game. But you got 3 returning starters, and then this lineup, starting 5 is massive: 6'4" point guard, 2 6'7" wings, and 2 6'11" forwards. Some serious size in there, and then they get brought in five freshmen. 3 of them are like top recruits in the state, highly touted bucket getters, just highly touted guys that they managed to bring into Furman. And Bob Ritchie's always been good in the SoCon too. So I don't think that the loss of those 2 top scorers is going to be the death of them. I actually think this lineup could potentially be better. Just given what they brought in, the size of their lineup, and you have Bob Ritchie there, not to mention those freshmen coming in. If given the chance and enough, opportunities and reps, can really start to flourish towards the end of the season and have some serious depth on this team. So high on Furman, a big Furman guy this year.
Yeah, I really like the way that Coach Ritchie there has recruited and decided to kind of utilize the portal. He's more of, okay, instead of focusing on the portal, we're going to focus on guys that we can get from high school that we probably couldn't have gotten 5 years ago before the portal, just because freshmen, there's just a large plethora of them, because those Power 5 conferences are just kind of picking off all those mid-major players that have proven themselves at the lower D1 ranks. Versus those high school kids, they're just going to kind of let them get recruited by those mid-majors, low mid-majors, kind of see what they do as a trial run for that 1-2 years, and then recruit them over to the Power 5. So I like his philosophy and focusing on high school kids that they can kind of develop. It will be hard to, replace PJ Smith and Nick Anderson, those 2 that had averaged 33 points a game combined. But I feel like, time and time again, you see that he has always been able to reload at the guard position. JP McNeese was there before. He kind of then moved over PJ Smith from shooting guard to point guard. Now you've got Edison Bronson, who's going to probably transition from shooting guard to point guard this year. And so he should take a big step forward. But I really like, the other pieces that they bring back. Tom House, he was a transfer from Florida State. Sharpshooter, shot 40% from the 3. Ben Vanderwall and Cooper Bowser, two big men down low. I like those pieces that they have as well. And the big thing for me personally is, if you guys remember, Furman was doing a renovation to their arena, the Timmons Arena, last year. So they had to play in a huge, large arena. And I thought it really took away from their home court atmosphere last year. Now this has been completed for the 25-26 season. So they're going to be packed into that arena again that is on campus, whereas the Coliseum or the facility that they were playing at wasn't on campus. So I don't think a lot of the students traveled as well. And, in a bigger arena like that, you can't really feel that packed atmosphere. And Furman has always been a really lit home environment. So I'm really relying on them returning back to the Timmons Arena and really being a factor here in the SoCon this year.
Yeah, great stuff there on that call out. I think, and like I said, Furman, whether they're down 12, 10, they're right there in it, just the way that their style of play works. And this is that spread the floor offense. And speaking of size too, just making sure, Asa Thomas from Clemson to Furman. I think that's going to be obviously huge, as you guys mentioned as well. And just some good stuff here, all coming along. Just trying to build up the program, not necessarily focused on win now. I mean, yes, that's the end goal, win now, and Furman's been able to prove that. But this is they're looking to build the program, and you got to trust Bob Ritchie and his program at 181 and 81 over 8 years. That's an impressive feat. Any final thoughts on the Paladins before we continue?
Yeah, I mean, you said it was size. The 5 likely starters, you're going to get a 6'4" point guard. You got 2 6'7" guys on the wings, and you got 2 6'11" guys down low.
7.
Speaking of size, they're going to be one of the bigger teams here in the conference.
6'7". I don't know. That's brain rot, I think. I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you, but I just say it. Everyone knows it, right? So, good stuff there. But yeah, I mean, Furman's going to be fantastic, and you got to love what Furman brings to the floor. So, yeah, I think this offense is going to move pretty well, and we're going to see a little more depth also. So Clemson transfer in-state. I love the in-state transfers, and we've seen them now back-to-back in this conference. All right, moving along. Mercer Bears, Macon, Georgia, last season 14-19. SoCon 6-12, 1 returning starter. Ryan Riddler, obviously last year, first year for 14-19. So I mean, Mercer definitely doesn't lose all their starters, which is a good thing. Or they lose not all their starters, but they keep a lot of their role players and off the bench. And we know their guard plays good. They're able to get into transition. They go into they like to run, but they really just lack that rebounding and down low presence that I think is going to be an issue for some of these teams. And just this is why we see Mercer being volatile and been an issue the last few years after their decent run in the 2010s. Excuse me. How we feeling about Mercer, guys? Trevor, what say you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, head coach, 1 returning starter comes back. They emphasize getting a bunch of guys that played in tournament basketball that have quote winning DNA and guys that know what it takes to get to that point of the season and build on it. But I mean, outside of that, it kind of looks like the same roster, not an incredible amount of size. It looks to play up tempo still. I mean, they brought in some better guys 100%, but I don't think this roster looks entirely different from last year. I mean, it's just run and gun. They're going to play fast tempo. Their defense might struggle a little bit, and they kind of lack size, which based on some of these teams in this conference right now, that's could be a huge detriment unless they're hitting everything and forcing turnovers and running and gunning and making life hell on some of these bigger lineups. But I think Mercer is going to be better than 8th. I have them finishing, a little bit above that, but I don't see them contending for the SoCon at all. But I don't hate the philosophy behind it. Get a bunch of guys that actually know what it takes to win and get and knows what it takes to win, and hopefully bring that to this Mercer team and kind of start to build a different culture here of winning. So I like Mercer. I think they'll be better, but I don't think they're going to be anything you should be scared about atop the SoCon this year.
Yeah, and then you bring back you bring in some shooters as well, Connor Severn, and then also TJ Grant returning on your team. So maybe some definite role step-ups, and let's see if they can actually, add more possession and usage on offense for the Mercer Bears there on the wing. Elliot, how are we feeling about the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, as Trevor said, Mercer was one of those teams that was the epitome of the SoCon. I mean, a fourth of their games were decided by either 4 points or fewer, or it was sent to overtime. So that just shows you how, a swing of a 6-12 and 12-6 kind of conference record could be. With Mercer, I think they really tried to bolster from the kind of the higher major ranks. You got Baraka Okoji, Memphis transfer. He's a point guard, will be the point guard for them this year. Didn't see much of him last year at Memphis just because he backed up PJ Haggerty, and everybody knows PJ Haggerty, what he did last year. And then you also have Zaire Williams from Wagner. I think, as we know of Wagner, they've got good defense, but he averaged 12 and 4 for them last year. But I think he also brings them a piece on the defensive side that they can maybe rely upon. And then Kyle Cuff from Syracuse, a guard. I think he's proven that he's can compete at that high major level. So dropping down here to the SoCon, where it's not as big of a drop as some people may think. I think that, they added a couple pieces from the 2 guards that they had lost last year. Just in terms of Mercer last year, they ran that run and gun kind of up tempo pace. I think they just shot the ball way too quick a lot of the times, which then kind of caused their issues on the defensive end. So I think that they'll kind of maybe possibly slow it down a little bit this year. But yeah, I like the pieces that they brought in the transfer portal, and we'll kind of see how that bodes for them this season.
Yeah, I really like Quentin Perkins. I think he's going to be a solid player, and like we've talked about, see if they can figure out their defense. But I do like Quentin Perkins. I like this backcourt. Let's see if they can match down low. I think they will be middle of the road, probably maybe below 500. Samford, oh boy.
The one coaching change of the SoCon.
Last season, 22-11, Homewood, Alabama. SoCon 12-6, no returning starters. It is a absolute switch up. Lenny Acuff coming from Lipscomb. He's got a career record of 564 and 305, 29 years coaching. I mean, that's a winner, and it's good to fill in for Samford's mishaps and Bucky McMillan going to Texas A&M. So good for Bucky taking that step up. We know this is a step up conference for coaches, but having to dive in all over, we got some Lipscomb people coming over, which is always a good thing. You got some freshmen. You have another Lipscomb transfer, Dylan Faulkner, who absolutely was just a stud. Lipscomb was fun to watch last year. And I think that their style of play fits the role that we love to watch Samford, which I'm so thankful to see, not some person coming in trying to switch up the mold and fit for Samford and their up-tempo style of play. So I think it's a great fit all around, and really excited again for the Samford team, even with a rebrand. It may be a hiccups at first, always bumps in the road. Even LeBron and Bosch and Wade lost their first few games together. But hey, I think there's going to be familiarity with the Lipscomb team coming together, and this is a storied program. So it's time to lay that foundation. It's time to set the floor and at least get above 500 in the SoCon. Elliot.
Yeah, I was talking to Trevor pre-show, and I think he's a lot lower on them than I am. I really like the fact that they got Coach Acuff from Lipscomb, kind of moved him over. I think that his offense fits well here in the SoCon. You spoke of Dylan Faulkner. He was a big piece for Lipscomb. I think he was probably one of the better big men in that league until he broke his foot in January and he was out for the rest of the season. So, I think people would have known a little bit more about Dylan Faulkner if he would have been able to stay healthy. So the fact that he was able to transfer over and he was able to bring him in is kind of a big piece that they were added. But then they added some good pieces in the portal, a couple D2 guys. Justin, I don't even know how to say it, Bjornstad from D2 Union, and then Jaden Booth from Florida Southern. But then they added the two kind of proven winners, Keaton Norris and Caden Norris, the proven winners in high school. If you guys remember Braden Norris from Loyola Chicago, it's their two younger brothers. More high on Keaton Norris. He averaged 30 minutes a game last year for Wright State. We discussed them last night. Shot about 45% from the three. And as we know in the SoCon, they get up a lot of threes. So I think look for him to kind of make an immediate impact there. And I don't see them. I think, they're not going to be near the top of the conference, like tied third. That'd probably be their kind of ceiling. But I don't see them dropping as far as some people may think. I think that Coach Acuff's going to do a great job there. And I think it's going to translate the style of ball and his culture that he built at Lipscomb is going to translate well for Samford.
Yeah. I mean, I know Acuff and Lipscomb were a solid and respectable team last year. I'm not saying they weren't, but you bring 0 returning starters back. You got 10 new players on this roster, new head coach, new roster. You had to figure everything out, and you did the offseason move. I don't think they're going to finish anywhere near the top. I think they're kind of middle of the pack, maybe slightly below. I mean, you're going from buckyball to Lenny Acuff. I mean, it's a different feel, entirely new roster. Everybody's making the changeover. So I think it's just a new era. I mean, you're building a different culture here. It's not going to be the same style of play. So I think it's going to take a little bit of adjusting, especially with how many new guys they have. So I think Samford will be all right. I mean, if this is Bucky bringing in 10 new starters, I'd be much higher on this team than Acuff personally. But step up in conference.
Almost he's a 600-win coach almost.
I know. I'm not saying he's bad, but this is a new conference, different style of play than what they normally play. And you got 10 new guys, and you just moved over from Lipscomb to here, and then you had to go recruiting and all this. I just think it's a bit much. I'm not saying they're going to be like bad. I'm not saying they're going to be Citadel or anything, but I think it's going to be an adjustment for this year. I think next year is going to go much better for Lenny and company in Samford, but I don't think it's going to be a complete disaster of a year either for Samford.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I thought you were completely down and out on this team. I'm like, we got Citadel to talk about.
I'm not down and out, but I'm down.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand that. I think there's definitely worries, but I mean, there's always rookie luck. I mean, not even rookie, I guess, with Acuff's history, but there's always like beginner's luck and into a conference, and there's always something good that can happen as a coach. So I think this team can have easily 20 wins. And to play a different point to your take, I think the Atlantic Sun can fare well to the SoCon. You have teams that can run and gun in that conference, and you also have your teams that play that slow pace in Jacksonville and other teams like that in the Sun. So maybe not competition-wise, SoCon's probably just a tad better, but also it feels like the SoCon's just a little top-heavy, which we'll talk about. But I think Samford's going to be just fine, and they're going to be very competitive in this conference. Looks like 2-1 here. Ratio of good thoughts, okay thoughts for Samford. Oh, God. Yeah. Citadel. I mean, I respect Citadel. They're military. But Charleston, South Carolina, 5-25. No conference wins last year. You bring back 2 returning starters, the Bulldogs, Ed Conroy, 7 years. It's tough. I mean, you don't have talent. You don't have NIL, but you have discipline. You have heart. Let's find a conference win next year. You can't be too high on this team, though, after just laying an egg completely last year and even bringing back some pieces. So it can only be up from here. But as we've talked about with these conferences, some of these low-end teams, how high and big of a step is that up when you only win 5 or less games? So I got to go. Citadel is probably my lower-end team. This isn't a team that can hang with the portal and NIL right now. But for frick's sake, it's Charleston, it's Citadel. I know it's a step back for Citadel, and I think it's going to be a few years before they even get back in the ranks, especially with a good SoCon conference, as they've been kind of perennial cellar dwellers in this league outside of a few outliers.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why I had kind of said that, offense is kind of most important in the SoCon. I mean, you look at the Citadel, 29.5% 3-point percentage last year, 61% from the free throw line. Doesn't bode you well in any of the close games. 350th out of 355 teams in offensive efficiency. Kind of goes to kind of show you why the record is how they were: 5-25, 0-18, no SoCon wins. I think that Coach Conroy, he tried to get a couple pieces there in the portal. Hard to get portal additions there at the Citadel, being a military school. But he brought in Logan Applegate from Drury College here in Missouri, D2, guy that can kind of shoot the three, has made 67 threes his last 3 years in college. And then brought in a couple other guys from the D2 ranks that shoot well from three, Braden Williams and Gabe Hernandez. So tried to add some pieces to kind of fill the void of the discrepancies and the issues that they had last year on the offensive end. But yeah, I don't see it them turning much of a corner. That they can't really get worse from here or go below 0-18, obviously, but maybe they can snag a couple 1-2 wins there in the SoCon and kind of maybe gain a little bit of momentum. But yeah, very low on the Citadel, just like Huff.
Yeah, pretty much rinse and repeat. I mean, they won one D1 game last year. That was in November. So I mean, they struggled out the gate. And I read a quote from Coach Conroy is like, we're trying to figure out the NIL and portal era. Well, if you're trying to figure that out, that doesn't inspire much confidence that you really know what you're doing. Yes, it's a service school. So, I mean, like things are tougher there for them to deal with, get players and all that other stuff. But I don't think they're going to do much of anything this year. I think they're going to win more than one D1 game. I'll give them that. I think they do improve in that aspect, but I don't expect much from Citadel, unfortunately. It would be cool if they popped up and they were just, kind of competitive, but I don't foresee that really being a possibility this year. I mean, it is a possibility. It's college athletics. Anything can happen, but still it's tough on paper, and the fact that you guys are still trying to figure out the NIL and portal stuff. I get it. I'll cut you some slack. It's a service school, but still, you gotta get these things figured out and worked out for the situation you're in. So I think another similar year for Citadel, but I will say they will win more than one D1 game.
Yes, let's hope. All respect to Citadel. It's a great school. I love their school colors too. Love that light blue and blue. Yeah, respect the troops. Thanks for that. UNC Greensboro Spartans, Greensboro, North Carolina, 20-12, 13-5 second, and then laid an egg in their home court last year. As I think we picked UNC Greensboro for the SoCon last year, and didn't work out. Well, at least one of the picks, but Mike Jones, 78-50, proven winner, 4 years. Mike Jones, who? Yes, sir. UNC Greensboro Spartans. Let's go. I love that, guys. And Donald Whitehead Jr., Jordan Brown, Landon King. Do you know these guys, who they are? Because I don't. Whole new rebrand for the Spartans, and they're taking that D2 jump. But they look like certified hoopers based on the stats in their box that I'm looking at. And Jones seems pretty high on them as well, too. But you do bring back a few low-end pieces that just didn't have any play. So you'd hope that to see them in the starting lineup at least and have more of a prominent role under Jones's regime. But, I mean, going to have to lose every piece possible for the most part, and every producer. You got to worry about if a player gets injured here, or if there's attrition. I mean, they already have a a low. I wouldn't say low quality. That's not the right word, but been talking for like 3 hours. Sorry, low. Just not a low amount of players. There's not many quantity of players on the team, and if you don't want to see attrition come February and March. So let's see how Jones can extend his players and make this rebrand and find what smacks him in the mouth, maybe in a non-conference game against a tough team. But normally a program that has the money, they have a great stadium as well, good arena. So I can't be completely out on this Greensboro team, knowing the other teams in this conference, but it's going to be a major, major step down this year from last year.
Yeah. That's the problem is they lose, what is it? Grand total of 63.7 points per game. They averaged about 72 something last year. So, you lose a lot, but the 3 guards they bring in, we'll say about 47 points a game, 9.5 rebounds a game. The guards brought in from like lower conferences. I believe there's a D2 in there. I could be wrong, getting mixed up, but they got some solid guards, and that's the key is guard play and ball handling. That's the big thing in college basketball too, is not turning it over, being able to facilitate and make things happen. So that's a plus. At least they addressed that issue and got 3 solid guards to bring in. I mean, Mike Jones has done this. He's had to replace some key guys. So having to replace all of them, it might be a bit of a struggle, but he's been damn good at UNCG. So similar to Campy and whatnot from last night, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that they at least finish kind of midway in the at worst in the conference. I know it's more top heavy and lower caliber teams. They're probably just gonna shuffle down to the bottom. But I think Mike Jones can be respectable and have this team competing at some point towards conference season at least, so they're not complete basement dwellers.
I mean, can we get this as our theme song somehow? I mean, gosh, that probably costs a lot of money, but I'd love to see Still Tipping as our theme song. Just
we could try to get Coach Mike Jones.
Anyone out there? Yeah, anyone
Coach
out
Mike
there?
Jones to sing it. Do a little over.
My uncle's name is Mike Jones, but not that Mike Jones.
Is it Mike Vandenbosch Jones or just Mike Jones?
Nope, just Mike Jones.
Just Mike Jones. Wow. Okay. Woo. Yeah. All right. I love it. I mean, you gotta always make those jokes at holidays, no?
Yeah, when I see him, I do. He
doesn't get it.
We see him around, but that was his era, so he gets it. My dad's name is Jim Jones too, so we got a rapper family.
Oh shit!
Is that We Fly High?
Yeah.
Hola, you know it. Oh yeah. Jim Jones. That's great. Hey, that's our era. I remember in like going on the bus in elementary school, listening to that shit, just being like David Banner. Hey, you ever seen just making like 4th grade, just listening to that. Oh my gosh, what a good time.
I was big young jock.
Is that Lean With It, Rock With It, or no?
That BB in the
Trap? It's going down. Oh yeah, they still play that at Colts games. Fantastic hype song for Colts games.
That was my 7th grade Lean.
Oh my gosh, we're saying age here. I think that was 4th grade for me. So let's go. Youngest one here.
A little older than you.
You guys are probably older or younger than me, health wise. VMI Keydets, similar to Citadel,
Debatable.
but they had a good year last year.
I don't get to talk about Greensboro. That's all.
Sorry, my bad. I apologize. I thought we did. We got too excited on Mike Jones, and I was just excited for Fofos. I'm too. All right, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, not much else to say, except it's funny how they're kind of doomed in the conference tournament. Lost to the 7 seed two years in a row now. So maybe they can be a 7 seed and upset the 2 seed this year. I think the one key piece that they bring back, Demetrius Davis, averaged about 7.5 points a game last year. He's going to have to be big for them. Like you guys said, they brought in those that trio of guards from the D2 and JUCO ranks. They also brought in a couple guys from like kind of the lower mid majors, Justin Neely from Albany and Valentino Pinedo from St. Francis. Both guys that were pretty respectable in their conferences, but they're definitely taking a significant step up in competition. So we'll kind of see how they fare there. But yeah, with Coach Mike Jones, I feel like, he'll be able to figure it out and get at least a lot out of his players and out of his team. But I don't think, getting the most out of his team means a second place finish in the SoCon like they did last year.
All right. Yep. Rebrand. Some believe it, some don't. VMI Keydets, Lexington, Virginia, last season 15-19. Respectable. We're talking VMI that would lose by like 40 points a game 2 years ago. And Cameron Hall suffered through that. Record proves it. 26-17 and 15 wins came last year. You guys do the math. I mean, we're talking about discipline here. We got military, and you bring back a lot of players. I actually kind of like this VMI team. I think that maybe I might be taking the cheese here just somewhat. Do they probably I'm not going to say they lack athleticism. All these guys would kick my fucking ass. But, do they lack athleticism as in compared to the SoCon and basketball play? I think so. But I think their cohesion, bringing back 4 starters is a great thing. And you still squeaked out 15 games. And you guys were covering machines last year. I love these Keydets, and let's go ahead and continue to ride them. But I will say this, it is a tough conference. Will they be able to match up against the top 4 teams that we like? Occasionally, they may cover a big number, but I think we see a similar season as last year, and just another improvement for Cameron Hall in his 4th year.
Shit. Yeah. Grazie. I'm really high on VMI too. 4 returning starters. Returned the coach. They brought in 2 great transfers and retained a bunch of the roster here. They improved plus 9 games last year compared to where they were, and now you're going to retain a big chunk of this team. Service academy type schools. So obviously, like portaling and whatnot is not their cup of tea or forte, but you're returning a whole bunch of this team, a team that improved vastly from the year prior. Now everybody's basically coming back. And then you have a lot of teams in this conference that, are going to be basement dwellers and then have a lot of roster turnover. So there's potential that VMI could sneak up and finish atop the conference. Not saying number 1 or anything, but they could finish top 3 or 4 potentially. So I'm high on VMI. I think they're going to be a much better team. I think they're going to catch some casuals a bit by surprise based on, just the history of VMI being bad, just kind of auto fade with most of these service academy schools in basketball. But I think VMI is going to be good in this conference. So I really love VMI this year.
Let's go.
Love it. Yeah. No, I think, like you said, he's kind of suffered through it. Coach there has suffered through it in terms of just struggling on getting the there. But so coach is Andrew Wilson, not Cameron Hall. I just wanted to double check that. But
I apologize. We had an error there, but yeah, the record was right though. 26-17. The home court is Cameron Hall. So sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're good. But coach, it was.
I don't know the coach. I know the players, know the system, but I don't know the coach's name to be honest with you. But but that's the name of the gym. Sorry for the copy and paste error.
So yeah, Coach Wilson, he returns the 4 starters, but not only does he return the 4 starters, he returns 9 of the 10 leading scorers from last year. And I have
cohesion.
I have a quiz.
Don't leave. There's no transfer portal in the military.
I have a quiz for you. Quiz question. No cheating. But they return in the whole country. They return the second most returning production. Who is number 1?
I'm going to say like Army or Air Force.
We just did Army. I don't know. Actually, I think they did.
No, it's good point.
Starters. I'm gonna go. I think they had a lot of seniors though. I'll go.
They did, and they lost their big guard.
It's got to be a service academy, right? Dabo's
Mm,
not coaching basketball.
I'm gonna go. Shoot, it's not a team we've done yet. I don't think by any means.
No, I will give you that. It's not.
Duquesne.
Purdue.
Oh wow.
Oh, good
That's
pull.
But anyway, so you have Ricky Bradley.
Quincy.
You have Ricky Bradley coming back. He was an all-conference guard for them, and then you have T.J. Johnson as well. I think both of those two kind of a 1-2 punch for VMI. I think they surprised a lot of teams last year. Now these teams are going to be more prepared for them this year than they were kind of last year. So I think the surprise was more last year. I do still see them being competitive. I see them finishing around 500 in the SoCon. But yeah, I'm excited for this VMI team. We're used to the bottom of the conference, seeing who can get the 2 wins against VMI and Citadel to battle it out for that 10th and 9th spot. But yeah, I'm happy for them and happy that they're seeing some success.
Yeah, I'm high. I like VMI this year a lot.
Let's go.
Which is crazy. I don't think that's ever been said before, but
Hey, we bet on them last year.
we did.
Let's talk about improvements here. Western Carolina Catamounts, Kolawee, North Carolina. Last season, 8-22, 4-14 in the SoCon, four returning starters, and a lot of those wins came at the second half of the season. Tim Kraft, second year of Western Carolina. You bring back Marcus Kell. You bring back Cord Stansberry as well too, who came back from injury. And then you get another couple transfers as well with Julian Samaro from East Carolina, Tidijaji Diomasi from Southern. So that's always good.
What?
What'd you say?
All I heard was titty. Titty what?
Tidijane Diomasi from Southern. So they bring in a good backcourt, help with the front court, but will they lack depth is the key. But they didn't have attrition problems last year after winning majority of their games in the back half of the season, and started to come together with Tim Kraft's first year. So 8-22 last year. Let's hope it's a step up for them. I don't know how the others will fare. I don't think they're going to be the most talented team, but hopefully a step up from the bottom 2 in the SoCon.
Yeah, I mean, last year they were 352nd in experience, so fourth least experienced team in the country. They brought back a lot of those pieces that you had mentioned, several others also. So I feel like with the return of the 4 starters that they had and some bench players, some role players, I feel like they're just kind of in position to just take just another step forward. Hard to take a major leap forward here in the SoCon when you've got so many other formidable opponents. However, I do expect Western Carolina to be a little bit better than last year, just for the fact that a lot of those players last year were freshmen. So they've built up that experience. They've dealt with that adversity and that long season that the D1 college basketball grind takes on that body. And like you said, at the end of the season, that's when they started to kind of pick off some of those wins. So expect them to kind of bring that in, bring that momentum in from the end of last season to the beginning of this season.
Yeah, the problem with them last year is they had a lot of turnovers and they were inexperienced. So, I mean, obviously bringing 4 back, that should help with your continuity and kind of figuring things out, maybe settling down a little bit. But they still had some issues. I mean, they had turnover issues and the big one was winning game issues. You won 4 in your conference last year and 8 overall. Now you bring in some guys, decent depth, but still a whole bunch of new faces outside of just mainly these starting 4 or 5 guys that they had rotating, bringing them back. I obviously think they're going to be improved. I mean, whenever you bring back 4 returning starters, I'm a big fan, but their issues were just kind of like self brought on, whatever. I can't think of the word, but your self issues. I think they'll improve, but how much will they improve? Because I think this is a really top heavy kind of conference. So I have them improving. I don't have them like jumping up all the way to like third or fourth in this conference just because they brought back 4 guys. But if they do figure out the turnover issues and kind of mesh a little bit offensively with the guys they brought in that come in off the bench, I think this could be a dangerous team. But I want to see them actually figure out these turnover issues and end of game issues, struggling to win games.
All right. Last but not least, the Wofford Terriers, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Last season, 19-6, SoCon 10-8, finished 6th. 0 returning starters for Dwight Perry, who has a decent tenure, 48 and 43, but just felt like Wofford. It was a step back last year watching Wofford. Their offense was very bleak at times. Still found ways to win games, but a lot of volatility with this team that I just felt like were a little undisciplined and not like the normal Wofford kind of Furman matchup we know, which speaking of that, those were great games. But having to bring in some JUCO pieces, trying to find pieces that fit into this conference, I think this is going to be trying to fit a triangle into a circle or circle hole into those, like kid games. And I think we see Wofford take a major step back while those kind of teams with continuity that we've talked about at the lower end of the conference last year take the next step of passing by and Wofford falls down. So give me the Terriers down below in the conference bottom half.
Yeah, I basically had all of that written down as well, so I'm not even going to bother adding on to it. I'm full agreement with you on that one.
You're kind of going in and out a little bit. Is that same? Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that too. Am I going out?
No, you weren't, but Trevor was.
Yeah. Okay. I heard that too. Then
he was kind of just phasing in and out.
Yeah, go ahead. I think this is going to be a tough rebrand, and it wasn't the best team last year, like I said, but I think this is going to be a tougher rebrand. I was having headphone issues there, so I thought that was me for a second.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, it was kind of funny. The end of last season before they had that great SoCon conference run, get back into the NCAA tournament as the 6th seed there in the SoCon. Unfortunately, losing to Tennessee there in the first round of the conference or in the NCAA tournament. But it was just funny that they lost their last 5 home games, and then they won their last 5 road games. Just a kind of a weird deal there in the SoCon that you could lose 5 straight home games, but then go on the road and win 5 straight times. So kind of an interesting stat that I had found when I was researching just kind of last season's statistics. But fun fact, there's no senior on this 25-26 roster. So like you said, I definitely think that it's going to be one of those teams that's going to take a step back this year with the lack of experience. They bring in a few returners, but a lot of the pieces, they're bringing in 10 newcomers. So they bring in a transfer from ECU, a couple guys from the D2 ranks, guy from Central Michigan, and then another guy from UCF. So it's definitely, like you said, a rebranding, rebuilding kind of a deal. And while others have that continuity that you discussed, I feel like it's going to be Wofford not necessarily are going to be able to take that a step up, and kind of some people are going to kind of leap past them in terms of just the way that things are trending in the programs of some of the SoCon schools kind of around that area in that kind of that mid-conference to mid to lower conference that we kind of see with Wofford there.
So we're similar analysis there. Trevor back here, Wi-Fi fixed. How we Wofford around here?
Nothing yet?
Might be your mic there. Looks like your camera's fine. But, yeah, we think Wofford is just going to take a step down. And, like, the familiarity of all the other teams and continuity together of the players, I think, is going to be able to propel, Wofford to have to take that step back or propel past Wofford, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think talent wise though, you know, they're definitely at the latter half of this conference. So yeah, it's crazy. They did make the NCAA tournament, whole new faces. Be interesting to see them kind of rebuild this, and that's just kind of what we have to do. You have to go through the mud sometimes. Life ain't always that easy. You can't live life in the rearview. You don't drive a car in the rearview mirror. You don't live life in the rearview mirror. I mean, you still can reminisce, but and Wofford has a lot to reminisce about. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a rebuild year for sure.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
sir. Remember how we feeling about Wofford?
Yeah, no. What you said, I basically had that written down verbatim. I'm not even going to extrapolate more into Wofford. Just 100% me and you, we're on the same wavelength on this one.
100%. Looks like we're all together there. Now this is the fun part. Top 10 in the SoCon. We go here. If you're new here, welcome. We go alphabetically by each conference. We have every conference to go through. Recorded episodes of previous conferences can be found on our YouTube channel at Pump Fake Pod. Like and subscribe. Would really appreciate that. Everyone in the chat, thank you. We got at Stooley Picks here, at IM_money, and at Michael_Huffler3. Looks like it's going to be maybe some interesting takes, maybe some differences. We had some interesting takes online with the Horizon League, so I'm curious to see what happens here in the SoCon. But if you are new here, we go top to 10. We go 10 or bottom up, so lower half to top half. We go one by one for these predictions. Let's go ahead and start with, I'll go. I went last time. I'll go last. And I think it's where we all agree here. The Citadel. The Citadel, yes, I think they're going to squeak some games and not be 0-18 in conference play. But I just think they lack the talent altogether. Sorry, Troops.
Yep, Citadel, 10 basement dwellers for me.
Citadel for me. Sorry, Coach Conroy. I will give you. You're going to go 1-17.
No, 2-16. They're going to win 2 D1 games this year.
1-17. They'll win a couple D1 games out of conference, non-conference.
All right.
Do you guys really think though that 6 conference teams are going to have 10 wins again this year?
I don't know. It made for good basketball.
I think it's going to be jumbled up in the middle. I think there might be a lot of teams that are like 9. There's going to be a few 9-9s.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it definitely can happen. It's the freaking SoCon. I mean, Chattanooga won the conference last year with 15 wins, and then everyone was just a 12-6 for the most part. So interesting stuff there. Looks like these bottom half teams. I think they go 2-16 as well. So it looks like we're all in Citadel there.
Yes, sir.
All right. Number 9 for me is Wofford. Yes, Wofford. I like the Coach Perry and the Terriers program, but I think this is going to be a major step back as we just discussed. So Wofford Terriers, number 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have Wofford at 9 also.
I don't have Wofford at 9. I have Mercer coming in at number 9. I feel like they, really struggled down the stretch, and just with their pace of play, I don't necessarily think that they've brought in the pieces that they needed to on the defensive side. They're going to be that run and gun type of a style. Brought in some D2 people, as we had discussed, and I just don't see it translating well in a tough SoCon league.
All right. Number 8 for me is Mercer. Have to agree with everything you said. Don't think they'll be able to win a lot of games.
Huff, yeah, I think we copy notes because I have Mercer 8 also.
Number eight for me. We're just doing a flip on that. I got Wofford here at number 8. I think that Coach Perry is going to be able to kind of maybe squeak out a couple extra wins to kind of just get above Wofford, just get above Mercer there in the conference standings.
All right. Number 7 for me is going to be. I really don't. I don't like to do this because I think VMI has a decent chance. Man, I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth. I keep doing this. You know what? Screw it. You know, UNC Greensboro takes a step back as well. I think these Spartans teams is this valiant program. I'm going to take UNC Greensboro 7th. I'm not too high on this team. It sucks because I think you're betting against their money and their NIL, but I think talent-wise they may struggle a little bit.
Fair. I have Western Carolina at was that 8 or 6? I have Western Carolina at 6 here.
7.
Oh, 7. Oh, 7. My bad. Mercer.
You had Mercer at 8.
You had Mercer at 8.
Hold on. No, I have Citadel, Wofford, Mercer. Am I counting wrong? I am counting wrong. Western Carolina.
7 is Western Carolina?
Yes.
Okay. 7, surprising. I wasn't thinking I was going to share a pick with you guys, but 7, I have UNC Greensboro. I think we're going to do a little reverse magic history here. They're going to get the 7 seed in the SoCon, and they're going to upset the 2 seed after dropping to the 7th seed the last 2 years. So
let's go. Yes.
Not now.
Let's go. Good thoughts there. All right. I'm going to go with number 6. I'm going to go Western Carolina. I think they can sneak some wins. They won games at the back half of the season. I like this Western Carolina team to sneak around and maybe be a potential 6 or 5 seed. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I meant VMI number 6, Western Carolina 5. Sorry, I gave away my spoilers. Sorry about that.
6, I have Samford. I just want to see them prove it, but I'm not a big fan of what this roster has. And moving conferences for the coach, I think it's going to take some time to figure out, especially given the entire returning new roster basically. So Samford at 6.
Yeah, 6 for me is going to be Western Carolina. I think that the getting a lot of those guys 1 year of experience and returning a lot of those guys here for this season is going to be good for them, and I expect them to take a little step up and improve on the season that they had last year, as it was shown at the very end of the season where they were picking off some wins. So I've got Western Carolina at 6.
Well, we were all confused. I was counting wrong. 6 VMI, 5 Western Carolina. So you guys can go with your number 5.
All right, my number 5. I have UNCG. I got a lot of respect for Mike Jones. Based on what he's done there, he's able to lose his top 3 or 4 guys or whatever last year, still come back and have a great roster. So I like the guard play they brought in. That's kind of the key, is being able to handle the pressure and make plays happen. So I got UNCG smack dab in the middle at 5.
Number 5, smack dab in the middle, I got VMI. I said that they'd probably finish around 9-9, something about 500 there in the SoCon. And I think that gets them there at that 5 spot. Maybe they can get 10-8. I think, they return the second most returning production in the country. I think that's going to be a good thing for them, returning their 4 starters, 9 of their 10 leading scorers. So I expect them to, take another smaller step up. I just don't think that they can quite compete with those top 4 schools there in the SoCon, but I do think that they're going to be able to handle some of those lower schools that we had just talked about and ranked. So give me VMI number 5.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Number 4.
You're good.
Oh no, go ahead.
Let's keep it going in order.
No, you have yours down already. I'm back and forth between my 3 and 4.
All right, VMI 4. I think they make the jump. I like what's going on, especially these teams that we were talking about below, the amount of roster and coaching maneuvers that they got to go through. I mean, VMI is returning almost everybody. They improved a bunch last year. Now you got everybody back basically. So I see a big jump from VMI this year.
Yeah. Number 4 for me is going to be Samford. I think they're going to be very competitive with this roster. The only concern is taking that jump from a lot of ASUN players, but I think it is equatable to this conference in the SoCon. So, yeah, I like Samford here. Give me 4 spot.
Yep, I'm going to echo that. I got Samford here at number 4 as well. I think that it's going to translate well from the style of play there at Lipscomb, and then bringing it on to Samford is going to bode well. And I think they're still going to be able to be competitive, still going to be able to score with what he brings. He brought in some guys. I know, Trevor has concerns with just all the amount of pieces, just all the moving parts with the new coach, the new pieces. But I really think that he's just going to kind of instill that culture that he had at Lipscomb, and they're going to be able to be successful here in the SoCon.
Go ahead with number 3.
My number 3, if I can get this to there it is. Eastern Tennessee State. I like the roster. I like the coach. I like what they're bringing back and what they can do. So I got them sitting 3rd in the SoCon this year.
Huff?
Number 3 for me is going to be Chattanooga. I think pound for pound, they have a really good roster. I love, I think they always had to step up, and they definitely almost won their conference tournament. Then they win the NIT. But I think there's going to be somewhat of a hangover, bringing back Teddy Washington. He's probably going to win all-conference player of the year and definitely a candidate for that. But I think this roster will be good. But, I mean, the third-place team was 12-6 last year. You very well could be 13-5 and still be a 20-win team, hell, in 5th place in this conference. So I think Chattanooga has a really good year. I think all top 3 teams will as well.
You stole my thunder of my player to watch in the SoCon. I was going to bring up Teddy Washington Jr. at the end, transfer from Southeast Missouri State. I think he's going to possibly have a chance to win Newcomer of the Year and Player of the Year there in the SoCon. So thanks for stealing my thunder.
Stealing your thunder. I mean, all right, we can go there. I'll keep notes on that. Stealing thunder.
But number 3, I have East Tennessee State here. I think that they did a good job here in the portal, just addressing the needs that they had to address. And I feel like, we all talked about it. They took an effort to not just recruit talent, but recruit people that are going to fit their culture, fit their system. I think they're still going to be a high-level defensive team. As you guys say, the defense is going to be the most important there in the SoCon, so I would expect that you guys have East Tennessee State a little bit higher just because of their defensive prowess. But I think that they're going to be able to score the ball, too, with the guards that they brought in. So I look for them to be right there at the top. So give me East Tennessee State, number 3.
Trevor, finish us out. 2-1. Number 2-1.
Number 2, I have Chattanooga. I think they're still going to be a solid team. Like the coach, like this roster, they reloaded everywhere they needed to. So, and they have a bunch of size. So, big fan of them. And then number 1, I have Furman winning the SoCon this year. Huge fan of that roster and what they brought back. They reloaded. They got size. They got depth. They'll be able to hang. So I'm a big fan of Furman this year.
Yeah, I like Furman as well. In my 1 spot, ETSU, I'm going to go 2nd. I think ETSU with Jalen Smith, is going to be a major piece. And I just think lacking depth is a concern, and that's why I have Furman as the top. Cohesion of Furman altogether, their motion offense. A little worried about some of the players, just some of the players, but in their loss. But at the same time, bringing in Ozzie Thomas from Clemson, I know he didn't have much playing time, but that's a huge piece, I think, and a star-studded recruit for Furman, where he could be a major piece that we're not talking about. So I think that's going to be my edge there. And I think pound for pound, Furman is the most balanced team in this conference. So give me Furman 1 and East Tennessee State 2nd. But I would say it's only going to be a game back or a half game back. It's going to be a very close conference, as we all know.
Yep, and I'm gonna echo what Trevor said. I've got Chattanooga here at number 2. I think their front court's going to be dangerous, deep, and they're going to be able to kind of take them and kind of take control of the SoCon. But I got Furman at number 1. I think a big reason why is they're going to be back on campus in that newly rebuilt arena that I think is going to be rocking with the students. Paladins are going to be going crazy. Hot take, I don't think that they will lose a SoCon home game. That's going to be my strong prediction, and that's going to be able to kind of propel them into that number 1 spot where they maybe will be about 500 on the road, but I don't think they'll drop a home game. So it looks like we're squad riding the Paladins.
It looks like we have to bet the Paladins all together to win this conference, it appears.
It appears so.
But yeah, let's run through top 10 real quick, and then Trevor it always puts together a good graphic, and all these are time stamped as well. Well, last night's episode wasn't time stamped as well, but yeah, it's all good. Trevor puts together a good graphic. Hey, thanks, man, appreciate it. We'll send you our Southland.
You got it, fellas. All right, thanks, chat. We'll see you guys. I'll see you guys Thursday. I'm out tomorrow, but I'll see you guys Thursday.
Yes, special guest for an episode, half the episode tomorrow, potentially. So see how that goes.
Yes, sir. All right, later, guys. Best of luck. Toodles.
Pump fake after dark.
Pump fake after dark, correct. I'll run through my top 10 here. Furman, East Tennessee State, Chattanooga, Samford, Western Carolina, VMI, UNC Greensboro, Mercer, Wofford, Citadel. Ooh.
And I will run through it, try to be faster than you. Furman, Chattanooga, East Tennessee State, Samford, VMI, Western Carolina, UNC Greensboro, Wofford, Mercer, the Citadel.
Whew. Pretty close. He goes, woo. But yeah, there's normally timestamps. Don't know who to blame for that one. I guess we have to blame the producer for that one.
Blame me. I didn't put those in yet. It's been a day.
We need timestamps, especially for our good episode last night with the Horizon, and now we got a good episode here. I think SoCon's a great conference, and now we got the Southland as well. I'm uploading it. Let's hustle through these. I think the Southland's a good one. We got 12 teams to go through. It definitely will be a fun one. As well. So while these slides load, I'm going to get my third beverage of the night. We're having a good time talking SoCon and Southland, and we're talking ABV as well. Maybe I'll switch to Cokes at the end of the episode. But while the slides load, Elliot, kill some time talking Southland ball. So
Southland, it was a conference that was kind of near the bottom of the conference rankings per KenPom, but McNeese State did a good job of kind of highlighting and strengthening that conference overall. Big news from last year was just McNeese State upsetting Clemson in the NCAA tournament, the rise of Amir Khan aura, and both Will Wade and Amir Khan getting hired by NC State. So now we got a new coach there at McNeese, but do not fail to forget about Incarnate Word. They made a fantastic postseason run in the CBI, went all the way to the semifinals in the CBI with wins over Manhattan and Jacksonville, ended up losing to Illinois State, I believe, if I remember correctly, who ended up winning the CBI. So two kind of teams that made waves of news there in postseason play and kind of put the Southland more on the map than it already was. We got 2 coaching changes. Like I said, Will Wade left for McNeese State. So they ended up hiring assistant coach at Baylor, Bill Armstrong. And then we have another assistant from the Big 12 ranks, Matt Brower. He came in as an assistant from Texas Tech, and he's going to be the head coach for Stephen F. Austin. So those are kind of your changes in the coaching ranks. But yeah, looking forward to kind of talking the Southland. I think, when you had asked me if one was better than the other, I really actually do enjoy the Southland and watching it. I think they've got some strong teams. I hate that East Texas A&M changed their name to Texas A&M-Commerce, so they might be in the cellar just because they changed their name. And speaking of, it looks like we're about to start.
Well, why don't you read the slide? But last time I told you to lead, I'm OCD. I want the slides read. I don't care if they're all there. Just read them like it's an 8th grade presentation and then start off. So go ahead and take it away with your anger and politics towards commerce situation. I agree. It's bullshit.
Okay. I'm going to read the slide verbatim. Texas A&M-Commerce. Located in Commerce, Texas. Last season, 5-26, 3-17 in the SoCon. Finished 11th overall there in the not the SoCon. You're kind of fucking me up. But
well, I did the slides while the show was going because someone forgot didn't do the Southland. But hey, some people do things while the show's operating. So there's no
I was reading it. I was reading it word for word. So finished up 11th there in the Southland. They're returning 3 starters from last year. Fantastic coach named Jarrett von Rosenberg, 119 and 112. The definition of just fantastically, what's the word I'm looking for?
Above average. Just great above average.
I'm just looking for neutral, just average.
Above average.
So 8 years there at the program. Big news for them is they were finally granted full Division I eligibility here back in June. So shout out to them. But still, fuck you guys for changing your name to East Texas A&M.
Yeah, no kidding. I think still too this team's going to struggle. I mean, not full eligibility, fun gym. I remember these games vividly. They always have one of those field trip day games there. And yeah, great name, but you bring in Colin Tolbert, Damian Garcia. I mean, Ronnie Harrison appeared last year for Tarleton State. So it is interesting. Got some size there with some of those pieces. So but I'm not too high on this team, and I don't think they're going to fare too well in the conference. But like we said, we could always have a jump from 5-26 last
Yeah,
year.
a lot of room for improvement, as we like to say. They did bring in some certified bucket getters. You mentioned Colin Tolbert. He came in from Concord D2 there in West Virginia. He was first team All-American there at the D2 ranks, almost averaged 50, 40, 90. Crazy stat line that very few are able to average regardless of division of basketball. Averaged 21, 6, and 3 last year for them. So it'd be interesting to see the step up from D2 to D1, see how he can kind of make an impact there. I think that they're going to have to rely on him as a scorer, just kind of looking at the overall roster. And then Damian Garcia, like you had mentioned, guy from the NAIA ranks, actually. He was the third leading scorer there in the NAIA. So just another guy that can put the ball through the basket. Sometimes it's great to get those no matter what the level is, and it's just can they translate to the D1 level? We'll see. But yeah, I'm right there with you. They're going to finish near the bottom of the Southland, in my opinion. And we'll see. Like I said, they just got granted full Division I eligibility. So with that comes certain things that can maybe be advantageous for them, and they can maybe start to begin to build a foundation and maybe take steps up here in the near future. Yeah.
Houston Christian. Last season from Houston, Texas, obviously. 12-20, 9-11, tied for 7th, 3 returning starters. Craig Duty's first year, 12-20. So second-year coach. We've talked about these guys a lot.
Disrespect. Disrespect.
What's up?
You can't spell my man's name wrong.
Okay, well.
Emporia State head coach.
If I keep getting critiqued for making these fucking slides, then you can kiss my rear end. I'm going to go Greg Olson on Dave Portnoy on you. about that. Just kidding. I'm not really angry
Just
about it.
just don't disrespect my Kansas. I don't really give a shit about East Texas A&M. Just don't disrespect my former Kansas coach from Emporia State, D2 ranked. You know I love my Kansas basketball, so I gotta stick up.
All right. Well, you can make the slides for tomorrow. How's that sound? Sound good? All right. Perfect.
Okay.
That's what I thought. All right. And Elijah Brooks for Houston Christian returns. You bring back 3 returning starters. I like Elijah Brooks. I think he could be a sneaky good get for an all-conference player if he takes that next jump and can get some other stats on the stat line outside of points. But I liked Houston Christian. I mean, they randomly could cover games. They were covering machines last year. Always a fun team that we like to bet on. They play that motion spread floor kind of offense. And then also you bring back DeAndre Samuels, which is always good. You bring in Damari Williams from UTRGV, so familiarity. So that's all. I like this team, and I think they definitely are going to take a step up from or I guess really not a step up, but just right around equilibrium. This conference is wide open. I think the top half is definitely sealed, but it's wide open on the bottom half, and I think Houston Christian is going to be around this win margin again. It's unfortunate when all these teams really start with a bad record. A lot of these teams start with bad records in non-con after getting their money for getting their butts kicked. But I like their team: Brooks, Johnson, Samuels. I mean, you really got a good piece, and I think they have a lot of depth actually. So I like Houston Christian.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think that they're going to take another step up here. Craig Doughty, I think he's a great coach. Kind of started at the JUCO ranks there in Iowa, where he's from, I believe. I know he graduated from Morningside College, NAIA school. Shout out to the GPAC, Great Plains Athletic Conference. I used to work for one of their conference colleges. But yeah, so I think that like you said, Elijah Brooks, Trent Johnson, they had 27 and 28 starts last year respectively. So I think to see them as big pieces. Another guy to kind of keep your eye out for is Johnny Lee. He redshirted last year due to injury. He was a transfer that came over from St. Thomas. So I think that he could be a good impact player for them as well. The big thing that they're missing is they lost Julian Mackey to FIU, but then they lost. I had talked about Bryson Dawkins last night with Youngstown State. They lost him. He was their leading scorer last year. But I really think that the pieces that he added there in the portal, a couple guys from East Texas A&M interconference transfer, which I obviously hate, but another guy from Eastern Illinois, a guy from Utah Valley, and then a guy from North Dakota. I think that Craig Doughty knows what he's doing when he's bringing in those pieces in the portal. And then just shout out Ryan Bartley, D2 guy, was average was at the D2, stepped up from D2 from the NAIA, had 1,300 points there at Mount Mercy, another NAIA. So always got to shout out the small colleges. But yeah, I expect Houston Christian to take another step up here in the Southland, and they might finish in the top half of this league.
All right, Incarnate Word, 19 and 17, tied for 7th. 4 returning starters though, which is great for a low end conference. And then you got all 3 starters returning. Davion Bailey from Ball State as well too. Jordan Pike, Marcus Glover. I mean, and let's talk about this: 27 and 40 in 2 years. Bad first year under Shane Hammond. So we've talked about these teams that are 8 and 23, 10-win teams, and then they take that next jump in their second year, third year. So I think it's definitely a possibility and a good story for these teams. But I think this is one of the better teams in the conference and a chance to win the conference. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I really like this Incarnate Word team, and they really were messing around last year in a super feisty team, although they finished tied for 7th. I just felt like they couldn't finish games. So if they're able to finish that, execute, those close game scenarios. And I like this team front to back, and it's going to be great. I think Incarnate Word has a chance to win this conference.
Yeah, no, I'm high on Incarnate Word as well. Like I said, I don't know if you heard when you were going to get another ABV beverage, but the run that they made in the CBI semifinals, I think that's something that they can really kind of bring in from last season to this season. Like I've said previously, even if you don't make the NCAA tournament, if you make one of those postseason tournaments and get on a run, whether it's the NIT, CBI, CIT, RIP, CIT, but if you're able to kind of get that momentum to end the season, you can kind of really roll it into the next season. So I think that's kind of what they're going to do here. Like you said, 11-win improvement there from the first season to the second season for Coach Harriman there. They bring back the biggest piece that I think is Davion Bailey. I think he's going to be a player. He might even average close to that 20 points per game. I think he averaged 16.5 last year. So yeah, super high on Incarnate Word. I think another guy to kind of look out for is Taj Stavesky. He was a transfer from Cleveland State. Made 83 3-pointers for them last year. Cleveland State was a 23-win team, shot about 38% from the three. So he's a guy that is going to be an important piece for them that they brought over as a grad transfer, as expected there in the portal. So definitely high on Incarnate Word as well.
Another Cardinal, Beaumont, Texas. Last season, Lamar went 20-13, 14-6, second in the conference. 3 returning starters under Alvin Brooks, 50-76 through 4 years. You bring back pieces Andrew Holyfield, Cody Pennebaker, Errol White. So it's definitely a good trend. And I think Lamar is going to be a super competitive team as well, and one of the better teams in this conference. The program that they've built under Brooks, kind of starting in the mud, and then just building up a entirely good program in the last couple of years, and went well in the portal. I think that you could touch on, Elliot, a little bit more outside of the returning starters, a little bit about the portal that they touched on, and then some of their new gets. But it will be interesting. It looks like they did take one of those early little season scrimmages overseas, which is nice. And they scored a lot of points, and they got into transition a lot, it looks like. And it looks like Alvin Brooks is really excited about this team, and I am too. So let's go Lamar. Elliot?
Yeah, I mean, just to mention one player, Andrew Holyfield, not a boxer, but he was on the Southland all-defensive team last year. I think he's going to be kind of the anchor to their defensive unit this year, 6'10", forward for them. But yeah, 3 guys I'm looking at that kind of came in. Lamar recruited heavily out of the California area, but they brought in Jaden Gambrell. He actually was there last year, but he redshirted. I think Coach thinks he's probably one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter on the team. So that's a guy to kind of watch out for. They're going to surround themselves with some shooters. Another guy to look out for, Rob Lee Jr. He's a transfer from D2 Wayne State. Shot almost about 38% from the 3 last year, averaged 16.5 a game. And then the other guy that I wanted to mention was King Najani Wilhite. He was a guy that shot 40% from the 3, 12 points a game on a really, really, really good City College of San Francisco. They went 32-1 last year in the JUCO, California. So he was on a really good team, was a very vital piece for them, shot it at a high clip, averaged 12 a game for them. So I think he's going to make an immediate impact for Lamar as well. So we kind of hit these, these first few teams that we're hitting on are going to be towards the top of the conference, in my opinion.
Top of the alphabet, top of the conference. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Holyfield. I like Holyfield. I think just excited on missing out. And he definitely could be. He's definitely going to be like all first team. So if he has a good healthy season, McNeese State, whole new brand as mentioned. Elliot started the show. with the coaching changes. Lake Charles, Louisiana, last season 28-7, 19-1, not in the SoCon. 2 returning starters though, even with Will Wade leaving NC State, and Bill Armstrong, his first year. Elliot, take us away on McNeese State, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it shows that, the fact that they're returning 2 starters. It shows that they brought in a quality head coach, and that the players that were there had a lot of respect for him. You would think that maybe they would leave, go elsewhere, maybe not necessarily follow Will Wade like a few of them did. However, I think it's going to be a good year for McNeese State going forward. I think one of the guys that I like to mention is Jarrell Colbert. I mentioned him because he spent 2 years at K-State, and then he transferred to LSU. So he's played at that Power 5 rank. Wasn't really a big impact player, but I think down here on the Southland, he's a 6'10" guy. Plays kind of like he's 7 foot. They probably put him at 7 foot on the roster. But I think he's going to be a big piece for them. He was a top 20 national prospect coming out of high school. Hasn't really came to fruition yet, but I think it's something that can definitely happen. And then another guy to kind of keep your eye out for is Garway Duel. He was started 22 of 30 games last year for Seton Hall. And if anybody knows Seton Hall, it's going to be one of those two-way players. That's what kind of Shaheen Holloway does, has the guys that play on the offensive end, defensive end, more so on the defensive end. But I really think that he's going to be an immediate impact player for them. I know he got hurt kind of in the middle of Big East play, hurt his shoulder, but he was leading the Big East in steals before then. So I expect him to be, able to be an immediate impact player there in the Southland Conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think just with also the NIL and just what they've done to the program and kind of spurred it up, no pun intended, I think it definitely is a good look for the program and all those players mentioned. I have to agree. So I think McNeese State is definitely going to be at the top of the conference. Tell you at the bottom of the conference, New Orleans Privateers, they're just a consistent cellar dweller. Stacey Holloway, though, 170 and 105 in his 9 years at the career, but is on a mistake there. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. I made this while we were talking earlier. So Privateers, 4-27 his first year. Can we take that major jump with one returning starter? It will be interesting. But I do think they are a little better. And will be a little better than finishing last in the conference. They bring in some good talent. They have good athleticism, and also have some good young talent that you can also build around as well too. You only have 2 returning players, which may be a good thing. 1 returning starter and MJ Thomas, but. Sorry, all conference and rebounding as well was in the top of the leaderboard in all conference. Bringing in Jacavion Buckley, though, from Southeastern Louisiana. I love interconference transfers. And then bringing in a Texas State. You mentioned Texas State. Or Trevor mentioned Texas State earlier. Transfer, which is going to be awesome. And then, I think there's going to be a little bit of a step up into the middle half of the conference potentially, but we'll still be magnetically stuck to the bottom of this conference, just who New Orleans normally is. But I'll always root for New Orleans. I always did as a kid. Something about their program, and I do like the pieces that they brought in. So let's see if they bring it in and. See if Holloway can get these guys cooking in New Orleans and get some gumbo going and have a better season to not be such at the last half of the conference.
Yeah, I mean another big factor I think here, hiring the rap mogul Master P as the basketball operations. head of basketball operations. So funny to have Percy Miller there, head in charge of
Crazy.
basketball operations. So, it's one of those things where, maybe that brings in some higher level recruits. Maybe some money comes in just from the relationships that he's built. But yeah, I think that they're going to definitely take a step up. I don't think they're going to be near like the 2-18 mark. Very disappointing season for them that they had last year. I do think a couple names to kind of keep out for Churchill, Abbas. He came from Wake Forest, and DePaul. He's just kind of like that high major guy coming down to more of a lower major. 6'10", 260 pounds, big kid. I think he can make an immediate impact at that level. And then another guy. I'm always. They brought in a couple of like big, tall. I got a 7'4" guy. Majuk. Could be on possible for the all names team. But he was at Oral Roberts last year. And another 7'2" guy. But I cannot. William Patterson, 7'2" guy, William Patterson. So they brought in some massive size. Well, that probably not going to translate very well. We'll see. But the fact that you have like a 6'10", 260, 7'4" guy and a 7'2" guy, they got a massive front court.
All right. Nicholls, the Colonels, Thibodaux, Louisiana, last season 20-13, 13-7, third in the conference. 3 returning starters coming back, which are Jalen Sears, Trey English, and Sincere Malone. Really love those players, and they were key pieces on a good Nicholls State team last year, which I think is very important under Coach Tevin Sadler, 40-27, 2 years. Do you see the writing on the wall here, Elliot? This is the jump season. If he can execute again with his pieces that he brought back and has been winning since the beginning, at least last year, this is his jump year of maybe finding another stepping stone or another piece or at least getting notice, right? And they've been really competitive. Last year they were really fun to watch. And you bring in a good players, Nick Crass from the WAC, Christian Winborn from Iona. I mean, you bring in someone from UMBC. I mean, they're touching all conferences here, Elliot, and then also Zach Komodo from the Big Sky. So very good stuff here. I like this Nicholls team. I got to be high on them as well. I think we're going to see similar teams at the top tier of this conference as we did last year, Elliot. How are we feeling about Nicholls State?
I'm pretty high on Nicholls State as well. Like you said, they returned the three returning starters, and then they added those pieces from those other mid majors throughout the country. I like what Coach Sadler's doing there at Nicholls. I bet on them a lot last year, and it went well for me. So I think they're going to be one of those teams in the Southland that I'm going to continue to ride, and I like them to finish at near the top of the conference as well. I agree with everything that you said.
Love it. We're pretty equal there. All right, Northwestern State Demons, Natchitoches, Louisiana, last season 16-16, 12-8 in the conference. So tied for 4th, 3 returning starters. That's misspelled. Rick Cabrera is what it should be. Northwestern State, an exciting team. Elliot, how are we feeling about the Demons and their random covering moments in the conference last year? Can they make some noise? Program could be back.
Yeah, I mean the overall record and the SoCon record just kind of shows you, how a lot of these teams are going to have those under 500 records. 4-8 coming into the conference season, and then they end up going 12-8, tied 4th. I like what Coach Cabrera is building here. It's been his 2nd year. He's kind of just slowly taking a step up each year. I think this is just yet another year where he takes another step up. His teams always seem to be well coached. They always continue to get better throughout the season as the season goes on. And I expect them to, kind of be in that similar, just above 500 in both their overall record and their conference record. So I see them as being, top of the not tip top of the conference, but in that top half of the conference for sure.
I think bringing back a ton of pieces, not only on the starter side. I cannot talk. I've been talking since freaking 8:30. So apologies. I'm getting prepared for the 4-hour shows, but you bring back not only the starters and players that you mentioned, though, that a lot of pieces. I think 7 returning players, which is always good, and then you're starting to recruit freshmen as well. I like this Northwestern State team and what Cabrera is doing down there after a tough first year. So I'm with you there on the ranking as well.
Yeah, and there seems to be before we go into this SELA. No, you're good. You don't have to.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
It's funny looking at the Southland. There seems to just be a lot of WAC transfers. A lot of these schools are getting WAC players for some reason. And then I also notice
we're getting ready for the conference to be gone.
Yeah, and then I also notice a lot of players coming from like Cleveland State Horizon League. It seems to be just like another connection. So I don't know if that's just something that I've just noticed as a one-off, or if it's something that there's some sort of connection that I just am not aware of.
All right, I like that. SELA Lions, Hammond, Louisiana. Last season, 18-14, 12-8, tied for 4th. Could win some conference games, and we liked betting on SELA last year, from what I remember. 2 returning starters, David Kiefer, 86 and 103 through 6 years. You did lose some big pieces, though, unfortunately. But you do bring back
emphasis on the big.
Yeah. Wait, say that again. Sorry, you cut out there.
Emphasis on the big.
Yeah, you're talking star power on SELA. Which I think could be an issue. But I don't foresee them to be a bottom half, or I won't say they'll flirt with the bottom half, I would say. Kind of giving my spoilers away here, but I do like some of the pieces that you have and bring back. I mean, you do have 2 returning starters and some young starters as well too. Keon, sorry, I'm all discombobbled. But I also like David Kiefer as well, and I feel like I owe you the chance to talk about him because he's a Kansas State grad as well. So it was a rough few years at the beginning, but that's why we this day and age only know immediate gratification, delayed gratification can work, and they're starting to win games again under Kiefer. So let's talk about SELA, Elliot. Jeremy Elsie will make an immediate change and role. He still was a major piece, but he was the 3rd guy amongst their 2 losing starters. So I think he could definitely be a step up. He's only a sophomore, and maybe he beefed up a little bit in the weight room over the offseason. I don't know, and that could help make him be maybe even flirting with Conference Player of the Year. So SELA will be competitive. I just don't foresee them touching the teams that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, no, like you said, Coach Kiefer graduated from K-State. He never really postgraduate. He never worked for K-State. He was a student manager from 2006 to 2008. So he was actually there when Bob Huggins was there. So he was a student manager when Bob Huggins was there. Michael Beasley, Jacob Poland there. So he was kind of right there in that prime time era when they brought in Bob Huggins, and then
Was that before Clemente?
Right before Clemente, Huggy left, and then Frank Martin came in, and he was that was when Clemente came in, and him and Jacob Poland had that backcourt of him and Poland. But Huggins came in, and Beasley was there for his freshman year. It was Beasley, Bill Walker, and Jacob Pullen. They came in as freshmen, and then everybody was so high on Bill Walker and Michael Beasley, and then turns out the best freshman of that class was a 3-star recruit from Chicago, Illinois, who ended up being a 4-year starter and one of the all-time leading scorers at Kansas State, Jacob Pullen. So kind of a cool piece of history for K-State that he was a part of, kind of there at the start of it. But yeah, I'm intrigued by what Sela has. He's kind of slowly started to turn this thing around. But like you said, they definitely are missing some big pieces. Those 2 pieces in Sam Hines and Jacavion Buckley were a little bit over 31 points a game that they're going to be missing. So, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I'm not as high. I think they definitely take a step back here. In terms of conference standings, they're probably going to be middle of the pack, I believe. And it's just kind of funny that Jacavion Buckley went from Sela to New Orleans. Just you wonder why he went from Sela to New Orleans. Just kind of an interesting intra transfer there. That has to be about money, I would say. Maybe he's a aspiring rapper and Master P is gonna get him a record deal or some shit.
Yeah, I like Sela's pieces, man, and I think they're going to be a good team, and I think Kiefer's actually a good coach. I really do. All right, Stephen F. Austin, the Lumberjacks, Nacogdoches, Texas. Last season, 14-17, 7-13, and 10th in the conference. It was a disaster, but this is a whole new rebrand. As assistant coach for North Texas, Matt Brower comes in. A whole new regime. But you do bring back two starters in Keon Thompson and Krishan Christmas. Good players. They both averaged around 21 points a game combined, and 8 assists a game. So they're key pieces. Let's see if they continue their possessions, or hopefully if they need to take a step back, they need to be able to accept that role if they're with the transfers that are brought in. But I like this Stephen F. Austin team, a valiant program, and I think that he can bring just a solid piece. And I think Thompson could be an all elite talent and lead the conference to be a conference player of the year as well for a low team. So if Stephen F. Austin wants to take the jump, I think first-year coaches are good for this conference, especially. So yeah, you bring in 4 big new pieces as well, and to this team that I think can contribute right away. And let's see if North Texas's system gets implemented for the Lumberjacks. I like this Stephen F. Austin team. Look out for them. They're my sneaky pick as the first team back for a new assistant coach.
Yeah, another little interesting tidbit for you here on Matt Brower. He was played at Wichita State and was a grad assistant for Mark Turgeon, and was kind of this. I can't remember if he was the start of Greg Marshall or if he just finished out with Mark Turgeon before Turgeon left for Maryland. But he played in 2004 to 2008. And if you remember correctly, 2006 was when Wichita State kind of upset a few teams, and they ran into George Mason, the Cinderella of that 06 NCAA tournament, and they actually played and lost in the East semifinal and the East regional there. So a little interesting tidbit on Matt Brower there. But he comes from Texas Tech. I think he's going to be, another in line of, those assistant coaches at the Big 12 ranks that are finally getting their opportunity to coach at the Division I level. We've seen that there's several of them that have had success, especially at the mid-major ranks in terms of like North Texas and some other, and then now North Texas. And then now we've got I forget what's his name at Baylor, Bill Armstrong, going back to McNeese State or coming to McNeese State as the assistant for Baylor. So, you can see that there's kind of a proven system with getting assistant coaches at the Big 12 to kind of take over for these mid-major conferences as head coach and getting their opportunity finally. But I think that they're going to be respectable. I don't necessarily think that they're going to, be world beaters by any means. It's obviously going to be his first year. They returned 2 starters. First years are always growing years. You normally aren't going to see, a tremendous amount of success unless you kind of catch lightning in a bottle, as I say. But yeah, I expect SFA to be, in that 6 to 7 type of range, maybe a little bit lower at 8, but they're definitely going to take a step up this year. They had a bad year, proud program, proven program,
bad coach,
and just made it to before then with I believe it was Underwood. Was Underwood there? Stephen F. Austin. I think he came from K-State, and then that's where he went from SFA to Illinois, if I remember correctly. But that was when he had brought in. They had made the NCAA tournament a few times. You remember that redhead guy with the beard on SFA?
Oh yeah.
I cannot think of his name, but yeah, proud program. So I think hopefully this coaching change is going to kind of spark some things and turn them around in the right direction.
All right, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Islanders, Corpus Christi, Texas, last season 14-17, 7-13, and then it's not. I'm sorry, it's not Matt Brower, but it's Jim Shaw, who's 41-26 in 2 years at Corpus Christi, who he's had really good talent, but loses a lot of pieces that were big production last year. So it's going to be kind of a new regime, but of just guys having to step up. And we've talked about this in these low major previews, is that this is when these role players last year need to be able to step up when they're given a bigger task. They've already been in the system. It's always good to have that continuity for that. But they bring in some new pieces as well. I think this is definitely a good team. You bring in a Trenton Payne, Davion Houston from Coastal Carolina. So, it's Coastal Carolina was horrible last year, by the way. But hey, same colors. He can keep his shoes colors. But yeah, you got newcomers coming in: Daniel Jackson, Cedric Horton, Bryson Wheatfall. So who knows? I think they can be a good shooting team. And we'll see what happens for these Islanders and whatnot. So I like this team, and what they brought in with Shabongo and Gibson. So they got a good program, and they got a good coach. I think that they are going to be that middle of the road team and take a little step up in conference play after a good start in non-con.
Yeah, like you said, it's all about the players that are returning. If they can kind of take that step up, you lose that first team all Southland forward, Gary Clark, and then you lose Isaac Williams, who averaged 11 points a game. They went to Utah State and Baylor, respectively, transferred there. So they definitely have the talent last year. Didn't really come to fruition for them as they finished 7-13 in conference. But yeah, it all depends on how their 3 main returners, Cam Parker, Sheldon Williams, and Leo Torber, how they can kind of step up and lead this team and become bigger pieces on both on the defensive and offensive end. And I think that they can. It's just, I just got to believe it. I got to see it to believe it, kind of a deal. So they're going to be one of those teams here in the Southland that, maybe if they look really good, kind of at the start of the season, they could be a sneaky team to kind of finish in the top half of the conference, just because, it's proven that Coach Shaw there is able to bring in a lot of good talent pieces, just with how the people have transferred out to those higher majors. So if he's got the talent and they can kind of have success and maintain that success, I expect them to maybe be a little bit of a surprise there in the Southland.
All right, last but not least, but maybe UTRGV, UT Rio Grande Valley, the Vaqueros in Edinburgh, Texas, last season 16-15, 8-12, one returning starter. Cahill Fennell last year 16-15, good coach, got some good wins, was competitive in non-con games. Definitely had our co-host Trevor sweating for Wisconsin, I remember last year. But you do bring back Ko Agua, which is good, and is a dominant force down low, which is always good to be having paces in the front court. Then you bring in some newcomers as well, and Corey Cotton played for VMI, always right. Missouri native, my friend. How do you got Rhode Island from last year's All-American name team, I believe, as well on the Pump Fake Pod. So UTRGV brought in pieces. I like the coach, but I think it's going to be this team's interesting. I can't figure this team out. This is the one I can't get a good read for. I think they have good pieces that they brought in, bringing in another JUCO as well. But I think this is going to be kind of like a rebrand year for UTRGV. Just losing 4 starters. Those starters were solid, up pace team, up pace tempo team. So I'm excited to see what this team does. But I don't know if they're going to compete with the top 5 teams.
Yeah, if you remember, always right. Him and his brother, all right. They were definitely both on the all names team last year. All right, he plays at Valparaiso, was the conference player of the year, freshman player of the year last year, 24-25. And then you have always right. So just elite names. I don't know what their parents were thinking to name them all right and always right, but it is what it is, I guess. But yeah,
it is a great name. I think that's great.
UTRGV sounds like an STD for me, so this is Team STD for me this year. I'm going to stay as far away from them as possible. No, I'm just kidding. I think that they're going to be pretty much similar to what they were last year. I think they're going to be competitive at home because that's a tough place to go to, a tough place to travel to, even if you are in the Southland. Damn near and you're in Mexico. So it's going to be a tough place to play. They're going to be competitive. I see them, at best finishing 10-10 in conference, but I think they're going to be right around where they were last year.
I could see that too as well. I think they can definitely surprise some teams though.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Top 12 in the Southland. Starting with 12, upwards to 1. I'm going to go with East Texas A&M. I think they have the worst roster.
Yep, I'm with you. East Texas A&M, Texas A&M-Commerce. If they were Texas A&M-Commerce, they'd probably be like number 10-9 for me. But the fact that we changed the name, we got to go. We got to go with them at the end.
To agree with you. Let's snake draft it. You go 11.
Oh, okay. Shoot. Put me on the spot.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to go.
Dead air.
I'm gonna go. I was struggling. I'm gonna go Texas A&M Corpus Christi. 2 schools in Texas that are gonna kind of finish near the bottom. I know, like I had said, they can Corpus Christi. They can recruit talent and have talent, but I got to see it to believe it. So I think as of right now, I think that I'm gonna have them at number 11.
All right. I will go ahead and do my snakes. I'll go 11 and 10. I'm going to go At number 11, we're going to go Houston. Yeah, we'll go Houston Christian. I think they're a bottom half team, but they're covering machines though. Look out! They did win games in the Southland, so it does concern me. But I think they lack all the talent, even with bringing back 3 starters. So, yeah, I do like Houston Christian though. I mean, I don't think finishing dead last. I don't really think there's going to be 2 teams in this conference that finish 4-27 and 5-26. I don't think there's going to be records that bad in this conference.
You're up.
And then my 10 spot is going to be. I'm right there with you. Give me Texas A&M Corpus Christi as well.
All right. Number 10, I'm going to have New Orleans. I don't think that Master P is going to make the appropriate changes as the operations manager there for the basketball program. Enough, at least in the first full year of his duties, to oblige for New Orleans to make a significant step up. I feel like 4-27 is definitely going to be something that they get better from and they improve upon. However, I don't see them going up the standings there in the Southland very much. So I've got New Orleans at number 10. And then it pains me to say this, but I have Stephen F. Austin at number 9. I think that, first year with Matt Brower at the helm, going to be kind of a learning year, a building year. So I think that I see them as being there at number 9.
Number 9 for me is New Orleans as well. I mean, 2-18 last year, 4-27. It's a new build. But those who finished 4th last year in the conference was 8-12. So who knows? You never know. I think it definitely is going to be a major improvement from 4-27. So I'll take 9 New Orleans Privateers, and number 8 for me is UT Rio Grande Valley.
Oh my God, I totally messed that up. I'm gonna do a little switcheroo as you did last night. I'm gonna go with UTRGV at my 9 spot. Like I said, I think that they're going to be able to be competitive at home. However, as tough as it is for teams to travel, that means that UTRGV's got to travel twice as much when they go elsewhere. Even though that, so I have UTRGV. I'm going to backtrack at number 9. I have Stephen F. Austin at number 8. And then, did you go through your snake draft already?
Yeah, I did 9 and 8. Yeah.
Okay. So then for my
8 and 7, then
8 was Stephen F. Austin because that's the one that I just bumped up. Yep. And then number 7, I have Houston Christian. I'm a big believer in Craig Doughty and his system. He's a proven winner at all different levels. So I like them to kind of take another step up. I know they lost a few pieces to the transfer portal with their guards, but I like the coach and I like the players that they brought in. So I've got Houston Christian at number 7.
Yeah. All right. I did UTR. So I'll do 7 and 6. For 7 for me is going to be Northwest. I'm back and forth on my 7, 6, and 5, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're all going to be fairly close within the 500 spot as well. And I mean, Northwestern State does bring back a lot of pieces, so that does scare me putting them in the 7th spot. I'll go ahead and I'll do. I'll do 7 spot. Let's do Sela in the 7 spot. I do like the coach there. And then 6, I'm going to go Stephen F. Austin. I'm pretty high on them. I think it's a good jump and a good step in the right direction for the Lumberjacks to get back their program.
All right, I got Sela, number 6. I think that they might take just a small step back from last year. Like you said, I do like their coach there, but I just think that the pieces that they are losing causes them to kind of take a little minor step back. And then number 5, I've got Nicholls. I have them kind of finishing basically similar to where they were last year. I think they finished 3rd last year. I got them 5th. So kind of in a similar spot, top half of the conference. So I got Nicholls there at number 5.
Yeah, Nicholls for me at 5 as well, and then Northwestern State in the 4 spot for me.
Yep, Cabrera there at Northwestern State. I have him there at the number 4. And then number 3, I am actually going to go with a shocker here probably, but I'm going to go with McNeese here.
What's your take on McNeese? Do you think that they it's just the big shoes to fill, or is it? I mean, they do have the talent, obviously, like we talked about, but I think we all agree on our top 3. I would hope Trevor does too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just think the talent is there, but it's a first year head coach, so that's a big thing for me. I think it's his first year as a head coach, so that's another big thing. So when you're looking at you've got a first year head coach coming into a program that just went 18-1 in the Southland. Won their first ever NCAA tournament game, or at least in a long while. So they've kind of had
back Garcia as well too. I mean, yeah,
they've had all this success, and now it seems like I don't think he's going to be that type of coach. I think he'll be a good coach, but I don't think he's also not that type of coach that's going to just ride on the coattails, of the successes. So he's going to want to kind of bring in his own system, bring in his own philosophy. And I think that maybe that's going to cause them to take maybe just a small step back, not necessarily in a bad way, just because he's going to want to implement his own style, his own philosophy, his own culture to the program. And so there might not be that mix, it might not mesh as well as what you like to see. And I just think personally that Lamar and Incarnate Word, they bring back a core of their guys, with Lamar bringing back 3 starters, Incarnate Word bringing back 4. I just think that they've kind of gotten the ball rolling. They've got a good team together. And I just think that they're going to be able to be more successful early in conference as well as late in conference. Whereas I think maybe McNeese State's rolling there at the end of conference. Maybe they win the conference tournament. However, I think continuity is going to play a big factor in who wins conference, from start to finish. And so I'm looking at Lamar and Incarnate Word possibly.
All right, number 3, 2, and 1. I'll just go ahead. 3, Lamar. 2, Incarnate Word, and McNeese State, number 1 for me. I think we got some great players on all sides of the ball, mostly in the backcourt, but I'm excited for this conference and the top 5 of this conference, as we mentioned.
For sure. Yep. So number 2 for me, I got Incarnate Word, and I've got number 1. Then I have as Lamar. So 2 Cardinals finishing on top, 1 and 2. Maybe it's because my high school alma mater was a Cardinal. I don't know. Maybe that's why I picked them. But yeah, no, I like what Lamar and Incarnate Word bring back. I like the talent they have, and I think that there might be a small little change in the guard in at least the regular season. But definitely McNeese is a force to be reckoned with, the talent that they have. So it would not surprise me if they end up on top, but I got to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. That's it. I appreciate the Cardinal love there. Yes. Big shoes to fill, McNeese. Great stuff today. We talked Southland. We talked SoCon. Everything's recorded. There will be timestamps, hopefully.
I promise.
And then just teasing. And sorry to be like Ellen there. Great stuff. A lot of fun. All our predictions are out on the Twitter page. And we'll be back with more always. So you heard it here first on the Pump Fake Pod. This is conference preview. We got Elliot Money at I am_Money. You got any final thoughts, Elliot?
Nope. Ready to go.
Easy.
Tomorrow for the Mac and MEAC.
Wonderful. Can't wait. And looking forward to it. And Trevor will be back in the booth on Thursday. This is at Pump Fake Pod here on YouTube and Twitter. So find us there. Like and subscribe. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Ken, Channing, Jeff, Judd. Thanks all. Appreciate you. If we missed anyone, sorry about that. Peace and love. Thanks, everyone.